Hey guys, welcome back to Keto Home. That's my new name, not Keto Nation anymore because somebody already has it, and I'm losing a lot of people. But anyway, what should end up happening here today is quite interesting. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a review on a dietitian, but I'm gonna do a review on a dietitian without exposing her or her face. Now, in the beginning of this review, she talks about what a ketogenic diet is, and she's very accurate. It's switching your fuel sources. It is 75% fat for the most part, 20% protein, 5% carbohydrate. She's very neutral all the way through explaining it. She hits it all the way point on. But then she starts to get to where she starts talking about restrictions and how a keto diet is this and how a keto diet is that. And what I want to do is I want to play this for you. I want to let you listen to what she has to say, and then I'm going to pick up in between. I'm going to pause here and there. I might have to go two parts on this, but I'm not sure. We're going to find out how quick we can get through this, and I'm going to give my commentary on it with my 8 years of experience being low carb and the last 18, 19 months of that being ketogenics. All my markers are perfect. My doctor's very happy with it, even though she doesn't understand it and she doesn't even support it. She likes that I'm doing what I'm doing, making myself more happy, and I'm off of a lot of medication because of the ketogenic diet. So, in this instance, let's get into the review, and I'll let you be the judge for yourself and see if you agree with me. Leave some comments below. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and hit the bell. Every once in a while, I'll come up with a bright idea, and I want to share it with you. And either we talk about it, you give me a thumbs up, you give me a thumbs down, or you don't like it and you never come back. But anyway, I wish you good health and good fortune, and keto on. Hopefully you keto on. Let's continue.
Last camp, a ketogenic diet restricts the types of foods that you eat. And there's a little bit of restricting amounts in there as well. For example, you can have protein-rich foods on a ketogenic diet, but you have to watch the amount that you're having. You can't go over a certain limit if you want to stay in ketosis. So it's a little bit of a...
So what she's talking about here by restricting the food is the fruits, the grains, the restriction of protein, because she's talking about gluconeogenesis, having too much protein and having that protein convert into sugar, which could potentially knock you out of ketosis. And if you've been following me this week, I've been eating predominantly meat for like 5 or 6 days now. I was 1.9 millimolar. And after the 5th day of eating excessive protein, I noticed that my ketosis level was being brought down, and now I'm at 0.5. So it's brought me down substantially. So I know the extra glucose in my body trying to burn it off and then fasting through the day is what's causing me to still stay in ketosis somewhat. But if I didn't fast throughout the day and I ate that morning meal or the afternoon meal, I probably wouldn't be in ketosis because I am eating an awful lot of protein. So let's continue.
Combination of those two types of restriction. So just because you can eat a lot of fat-rich foods doesn't mean that a ketogenic diet isn't restrictive. A lot of times with various diets, people will point to the foods that you are allowed to eat in abundance or the things that you can have and say that means the diet isn't restrictive. But
there are not too many foods on a ketogenic diet that you can have in an abundance. You cannot have an abundance of fat. You cannot have an abundance of protein. And you cannot have an abundance of carbohydrates. There may be certain vegetables that people say that fit that carbohydrate, that complex carb form, but what she's saying right now is not really true. You can have unlimited amounts of everything, and when I do get my unlimited amounts of anything, it normally comes from a complex carb with a lot of fiber from green vegetables. I've done that and it works, but also at the same time it does hinder your level of ketosis. So we're going to continue the review.
you have to look at a diet as a whole, and if you are cutting out foods or having to track or count or restrict your amounts, then that's restriction no matter if you can have a lot of other foods in the diet. Now let me be clear with this one. Restriction is no good. Restriction sets you up for binging and out of control eating.
Restriction is no good. So if you don't restrict yourself to the things that you like to binge on, and if you don't restrict yourself to the good things you like to binge on, there is no such thing as there is you can't take a good thing and have an unlimited amount of it, because even a good thing in an unlimited amount can be very bothersome. So it has to, in some way, shape, or form, be restrictive. Any diet or any type of eating that you're on, even a standard American diet, in order for it to be successful and done properly in the right ratios, has to be somewhat restrictive. Calories in versus calories out doesn't work, right? That's what they say. Well, it's also the same way with food. You can't just put an abundance of food in and then expect to get an abundance of food out. Your body doesn't do that. You can take an abundance of food in, but it ain't going to put out so much. Well, it's because it has to break it down, it has to digest it, you have to live. So now instead of burning your body fat, you're burning the food that's going in your body. So you have to have somewhat of a restrictive diet in order to be healthy and lose weight or maintain. You can't just have whatever you want, because that one person that has whatever they want and they're not on a restrictive diet is the same person that's going to be 400 pounds because they don't know boundaries and goals. Restricting a boundary keeps you to your safe space. That's that.
This pendulum swing that I talk about a lot of time in my videos. So when you restrict a food,
The pendulum swing that she's talking about is the rebounding effect. It's by restricting food and then binging and then going back to restricting and then binging and then going back to restricting and binging. Just listen.
or the amounts of food you're eating, whatever, when you do any type of restriction, you're kind of pulling the pendulum back to one side. And you can do that for a little while, right? But eventually something is going to break, and it's a totally normal response. A lot of times people, when they can't do the restriction anymore, they think, oh, it's my fault, it's a personal fit.
So this is why she doesn't really understand a ketogenic diet. In the beginning phases, the pendulum swings, like she says. People start, they fall off. They start, they fall off. But as they start to learn ketogenics more, and as they start to do it more, they start becoming more familiar with what they're supposed to have. And once they start incorporating ketogenic style treats and things that mimic what they used to have, they become more successful. And I've seen people come back to the ketogenic diet 3 or 4 times, and then all of a sudden, bam, they get it, no problem at all. They're stuck to it, and they're on it. They like the effect of being in ketosis, the way it makes you feel, the anti-inflammatory effect, and they just don't want to go back. So it may pendulum effect a few times, but eventually it sticks. But some people jump on it and they get it right away. They don't have to go back and forth. Like me, I got it and I ran with it. I didn't have to go back and forth. Let's continue.
But it's because of what your body is doing to get you to freaking eat, honestly. So your body is increasing your cravings and your hunger, decreasing your fullness, all of these different things that your body is doing to get you to eat the amounts or eat the thing that you're not allowed to have.
So being on a ketogenic diet is actually very fulfilling, because the higher levels of fat, your actually cravings and stuff decrease. And when you consume a little bit extra sodium, a little bit extra fat, you actually satiate yourself even more, and you have less cravings, because a lot of the things that we were craving before that caused us to eat excessively are fixed by a ketogenic diet, because now we're adding in a little bit more salt that has all these minerals and electrolytes. Now we're adding in the extra healthy fat that actually pulls down your appetite and starts to help you control the cravings and the need to eat so much.
Restrict. Eventually, it swings the other way, and then you end up in some sort of binge or feeling out of control, and it just goes back and forth. And for a lot of people, when they have that sort of binging, overeating happen, they think, wow, I really need to restrict because I can't control myself around food. But that's not the case at all. You're doing one extreme, and your body is pushing back, again, a totally normal response to keep you alive and well and to keep you eating. Totally normal, your body pushes back, and you go to the other extreme. So a lot of people...
It doesn't always happen that way. There are some people that are affected by that. They do end up going to the other extreme that she's talking about. But once you give ketogenics a chance and you stay with it, and your body starts to actually heal itself and become keto adapted or fat adapted, you don't do the rebounding effect anymore. You end up realizing how amazing you feel, how awake you feel, how your joints are just so healthy feeling, like the inflammation's gone. Your bowel movements actually become more regular. Everything's not screwed up anymore and it's starting to become more regulated. Let's continue.
We'll end up going back to restricting, but really that is the problem. That's what's causing this pendulum to swing back and forth. You can also think of it kind of as a circle. You know, you restrict, which leads to a binge, and then because of that binge, you restrict again, which leads to another binge, and it just goes on and on and on. It's the same way with any diet. Keto is no different. Restriction can also...
Keto is different. Keto is something that hasn't been taught. Keto is something that hasn't been pushed. Keto is something that's been demonized. And it hasn't come back around until like the year 2000, it started to come back out. Now, this girl's like, I can't believe some of the stuff that she's saying. It's like she's having this complete full-blown conversation on exactly what keto is. And I know it's just her belief. But how can you have a belief on something if you don't even take the time to understand what it is and you don't even take the time to try it? Which in the comments below, a member said, why don't you try it for 3 months before you do a review? And she says, well, I'm a professional nutritionist and I don't need to do that. And it's just common sense because science says so, right? Like science has never been wrong before. That's very smart of such a professional, honorary dietitian that has this amazing degree where she thinks that she can just give people the most perfect advice. Silly.
Also lead to food fear, preoccupation with food, and obsession with food. And then on top of that, it's exacerbated by the track